Hello, night dwellers. Welcome to Twisted Tales Live. I am your host, Bryn Morgan. I have a question for you. Do you like scary stories? You do? Then welcome. Come in, if you dare. Hello, night dwellers, and welcome to Twisted Tales Live. I am your host, Bryn Morgan. I have a question for you. Do you like scary stories? You do? Then come in, if you dare. Hello, everyone. Come in, make yourselves at home. Hello, hello, hello. Ooh, it looks creepy on TikTok. I hope you're getting the same effect on YouTube. I'm doing good, Julie. Doing good. Who is ready for True Crime Serial Killer Tuesday? Let me know in the comments. Oh, perfect. Perfect, perfect, perfect. I see the comments there. Let me just X that. Hello, Mary. How are you? Welcome to the night room. My name is Bryn Morgan. I am the Night Queen. I tell scary stories. Do you want to hear one? Then come in, if you dare. Hello, 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 everyone that is coming into the live. Welcome. If you will just go ahead and start sharing the live video with everyone you can possibly think of, I would greatly appreciate it. Hello, everyone. Hello, hello, hello. Can you hear the music? Let me know. Hello, Mia. How are you? You like the music? Wonderful. Thank you for sharing the live, Shirley Thurlby. Thank you so much. Hello, Reese. How are you? I wish I could just keep it on that one. That one is great. I absolutely love that one. How is the visual? Is the visual good? I am doing very well, Reese. Hello, Colleen. Thank you for sharing the live. Yes, I do. I do read a story every night. Where is my... Ah! I thought I had lost my fan. How in the world would I make it without my fan? Thank you for sharing the live. Let's share it with everyone that you know that loves a scary story. True crime, serial killer Tuesday is tonight, and I have some chilling ones indeed. Let's see what we've got going on in YouTube land. Hello, Kimmy Sanford. Hello in YouTube. How are my night dwellers over there? I'll be switching back and forth between TikTok and YouTube. Hello, man. How are you? Welcome. So I'm adding just a little bit of amplification with the microphone because there are a lot of people that say they can't hear over the music. So hopefully this will solve the problem. I don't know about you, but I love this background. It looks like a blood storm is about to hit over the castle, doesn't it? Ask me LOL. Thank you for sharing the live. Tracy, hello. Amanda, hello. Sue, hello. Martha Reagan, hello. I will tell you, I worked on it very, very hard all day. For about 3 hours, I was up here working on the lighting. Have you noticed how pronounced that the crystal ball is tonight? Everything is just falling into perfect alignment. Is the music good? Let me know. Well, Roxy, I am here. Just sit back, relax, and enjoy. Indeed, Lulu. Thank you, Julie. Hello, Indiana Girl. Hello, Martha. The music sounds good. How does it sound in YouTube? Visual is good. Okay, perfect. Mary is summoning Sherry and Truth. I love it. Lady Mary. Music is okay? Okay, very good. Hello, Truth Positive. Hello, Roby. How are you? Everything is amplified in this light. Welcome to the Night Realm. I am Bryn, your Night Queen, and the people here are my night dwellers. My night watchers are in charge of making sure everything goes exactly to plan. Sit back, relax, and enjoy. Come in, everyone. Hello, hello. Yes, tonight we are winging it. If one of the night watchers wants to pose a question to the audience, you are certainly more than welcome to do that. Hello, Marilyn. Hello, Ashley. Hey, Mom. Hello, Michelle. Wonderful. So happy to see you here. Hello, Missy. Oh, really, Kimmy? You think of the Transformers. Wonderful. It does. It looks like it's about to rain blood. Thank you for sharing the live. As you are just coming in and you're wondering, who is this spooky lady? My name is Bryn Morgan. I'm a horror author, as you can tell. And I tell scary stories, paranormal stories, ghost stories, true crime, serial killers, Appalachian folklore, cryptids, and whatever else you can possibly think of. Do you like that? Then hit the follow button or the subscribe button and the notification bell and never miss another Twisted Tales Live. Oh, I know. I hear that. Thank you for sharing the live. Boo. Tonight's first Twisted Trinket goal is set. And up here, there is Bryn's Bewitched Boutique. Go in there and check it out if you wish. Thank you for coming. I hope you enjoy story time. I will be showing the gown at intermission. No, tonight it is black. No, it's black. I'm going to have to figure out how to show the gal now that the studio is completely different, but I will figure it out somehow. I knew that that was going to happen when I got a throne, because a throne is big, it is heavy, and it is hard to move. When I purchased this one, I thought it had wheels on the bottom. It doesn't. Just go right up to the picture where my name is, click on that, and you will see the Bewitched Boutique. Hello, 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 David Tyson. Perhaps you are a silent night dweller. You like to dwell in the shadows. Tonight, come in and say hello. I want to meet you, as does your family. Hello, blue-eyed blonde. How are you? Get ready for story time. Where's my water? Hello? It's here somewhere. Water. Ah. Found it. Now don't forget, tomorrow night is Paranormal Wednesday. On the third Wednesday of every month, the Night Dwellers come in and tell their paranormal tales. So, be here tomorrow night to hear paranormal stories from our friends. Come in, come in, come in. Hello, Betty Lynn. Thank you for the follow. Thank you, Magic Moon. Thank you so much. Hello, Mia. Hello, Kat. That's fantastic. Just keep hitting that screen, because the more you hit it, the more an algorithm shoots it out to people who are not aware that there is a Twisted Tales live. They have no idea. Oops. So it looks like Channel 8 is the perfect volume for music. Correct? Hello, Ange. How are you? Hello, Ashley B. Hello, hello, hello. So I finally have something that I can just put it on a certain number and I can leave it alone. I am doing good, Ange. Ange, do you like scary stories? Let me check in YouTube land. Hello, sharing. I see something about cotton candy. Hello, Ren, and welcome. It really all depends on the voices. I get it. Can you hear me? Perfect. Wonderful. Does it hurt your ears? Hello, Anne B. Perfect. Fantastic. Hello, Susie Blues. How are you, darling? Hello, Tammy Weber. Oh, thank you, Amanda. Much appreciated. Let's get ready for story time. But first, lower your lights. Lock your doors. Pull those curtains nice and tight. Wrap yourself in your warmest blanket as I tell you a true crime story that will chill you to your soul. Let me know in the comments. I'm ready, Red. Tonight's first story is a true crime case that I'm not sure you've ever heard. It is a heartbreaking one. The Feeney family murders. It was difficult to study this one. Viewers' discretion is advised. The story that you are about to hear is one of Missouri's most chilling and bizarre unsolved cases in the history of the state. 3 lives taken. 1 man accused. No one ever convicted. Sit back, night dwellers, and prepare yourselves as your Night Queen tells you this haunting, unresolved tale of the Feeney family. First person. Chapter 1. A quiet street in Springfield. It was a Sunday evening, February the 26th, 1995. The street was quiet, just another peaceful winter weekend in Springfield, Missouri. The kind of neighborhood where folks shoveled each other's snow after a terrible storm. They would shovel it out of driveways. I knew what kind of cereal that your kids ate for breakfast. It was that kind of safe. Inside a modest home on Coachlight Court lived the Feeney family. Cheryl, a warm and radiant woman in her early 30s, was a devoted mother and a kindergarten teacher. Loved by her staff and students, her church, her neighbors, her community. She had a bright smile. One of the teachers that was in the same hallway with her said, "I just don't know how you could hurt someone like Cheryl. She was one of the sweetest women that I've ever met. Kind. She would give you the shirt off her back. Who could hurt her? I just don't understand. I just don't understand." I just remember some mornings I would come in as her assistant, and she always had a smile. Always. And I just remember those big blue eyes of hers. They were just... I used to always tell her that it looked like a light bulb was shining out of her. She was so bright. Have you ever met anyone like that? She always had a soft hand with the kids. Some women are meant to be mothers. Cheryl Feeney was definitely meant to be a mom. I remember her telling me that Friday that her son Tyler had lost one of his front teeth, and he was so proud of it. And she had told him to put it up under his pillow, and the tooth fairy would come and get it and leave him some money. He showed the gap to everyone. Jennifer, her 1-year-old daughter, was all she talked about. She loved that little girl. Jennifer had just turned 1. They had just celebrated her birthday. John Feeney was Cheryl's husband. She asked me if I wanted to come over and have some pizza with her and the kids, and I said no. I wish I had said yes. She said that her husband was going to be out of town. He was going to a science conference. Her husband was the science teacher at the local high school. I never dreamed that Friday afternoon would be the last time I'd see Cheryl. I remember her walking down the hall. She had her bag on her shoulder. And she just had that kind of laugh that just bubbled up from her chest like music. If you were lucky enough to hear it, you felt like the world might be okay after all. She was only 19 when she met Joe Feeney. They were both students at the University of Missouri. Cheryl was studying early childhood education. She wanted to teach kindergarten. She loved kids. Even then, John was a science guy, a total nerd. He was logic-minded, clean-cut, reserved. They met through a local friend. John was invited to a party. John was a son of a Baptist preacher. His dad never let him dance, he was just very strict on him. After the dance, they were just hooked on each other, smitten. They went to a coffee shop after, and that was that. Where Cheryl was light and warmth, John was structured and intellectual. On paper, they made sense. In person, they were total opposites, but somehow they fit. I went to the wedding. They were married in 1986. I remember when they bought their first home, it was modest, a little rental tucked off a quiet street in Springfield, Missouri. Cheryl planted daffodils everywhere. She loved them. Yellow was her favorite color. John built shelves for her ever-growing library of children's books. One day, Cheryl wanted to be an author, a children's author. And if she hadn't have suffered that fate, I believe she would have been. Their love wasn't perfect. It wasn't flashy, but it was real. You could see it. Cheryl told me they had only been married for maybe 6 months, and she said, Cindy, I want 2 kids. I want a boy and I want a girl. And the funny thing is, I want my boy to look like me, but I want my girl to look like John, because he's cute. She got her wish. Tyler was born in 1989. He was a curly-haired whirlwind of energy. He loved dinosaurs and peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. When he lost his front tooth in kindergarten, he tucked it under his pillow. And he told Cheryl that Thursday night, because she told me the story. Tell the tooth fairy that I've been good. Will you, Mommy? Yes, I will, sweet boy. Now go to sleep. And then I remember her walking in the classroom and she was just gleaming. She was glowing. And I took one look at her and I said, are you in the family way? And she just gushed. Well, we didn't want to tell anybody about it because we were nervous, and yeah, it's confirmed. I'm gonna have a second child. God, I hope it's a girl. Remember, I have the 2-kid rule. Jennifer was born in 1993. She was a surprise, John said, but to Cheryl, she was a welcome one. She had big brown eyes, like John, soft brown baby curls, always reaching for her mother. She was the cutest little girl. She adored her older brother. And she would giggle whenever he acted silly in front of her. Cheryl threw herself into motherhood 100%. She kept scrapbooks. She packed little notes in Tyler's lunchbox. She sang lullabies to Jennifer, even in the early morning hours, like 2 a.m., she was rocking her and singing to her. She would come into class the next morning and she'd be exhausted, but I remember every time I would ask her, "How you doing, Cheryl?" She'd say, "I'm blessed. I can't complain. It could always be good, but it could always be much worse." Does that make sense? John, he provided a home, he provided food, shelter, a vehicle for Cheryl to drive. He had no problem reminding her that he was the breadwinner. Like I said, he was a science teacher at Glendale High School. He worked hard, his students liked him, he even won Teacher of the Year. He was proud of it. We were invited over to their house for a barbecue, and I had, who is now my husband, my boyfriend at the time, and John asked him if he wanted to go play a game with him in the basement. When I talked to Rick on the way home, I asked him, "What kind of game did you play?" He said, "Oh, it was just some fantasy role-playing game." He's really into it. It's like vampires and stuff. Cheryl told me that John played it on the weekends. It was his way of relaxing and just unwinding from a long week at school. It was strange. Cheryl said she didn't question it though, that he had to have an outlet. It was just escapism. It was like Dungeons and Dragons, but darker. He even asked Cheryl to play the game with him once or twice. But she just always preferred real life to fantasy. They were a family. And that's what Cheryl wanted. She wanted to be a mom. She wanted John to be a dad. And she wanted to raise their children in the best way she knew how. First person, Cheryl's sister. She prefers to remain anonymous. I remember I called Cheryl on a Friday night. It was the night before her murder. I asked her how she was doing, and she said, it's just going to be a typical weekend. John's going to go out of town to that teacher conference. Third person, John packed a bag. He headed to the leg of the Ozarks for a science teacher conference. Dozens of educators from across Missouri gathered to share their plans, attend workshops, unwind. John was seen there, smiling, playing board games, even staying up late, chatting with colleagues. Back home, Cheryl bundled up the children. First person, Cheryl's sister. I remember Cheryl told me that she had made spaghetti, that Tyler had specifically asked for spaghetti. It was his favorite meal, other than peanut butter and chocolate sandwiches. And I was talking to her, and she said, "Oh, I gotta go. Tyler's in the bathroom. I'm trying to get all the spaghetti sauce off of him." He was a very messy eater. Third person. Cheryl was in the kitchen washing dishes while the children were sitting in front of the television, watching TV. Cheryl spoke to her best friend that night and made plans for Sunday, taking the kids to an indoor park with a trampoline. It was just a normal weekend until it wasn't. John was gone. First person, Cheryl's mother. You know how they say that a mother can just tell that something's wrong? I called Cheryl Sunday morning. I hadn't spoke to her all day on Saturday. And she wasn't answering the phone, and the first thing I thought was, maybe she's taking the kids out. But something was nagging me in the back of my mind. Something's not right. No calls, no check-ins, nothing. I told my husband, something's not right. I tried to call her 5 times. She was supposed to be bringing Tyler and Jennifer over so we could see them. It had been a couple weeks. When the police arrived at the home, they saw a Polaroid camera. Cheryl had taken a picture of her big boy the night before, showing off his snaggled tooth smile. That Saturday morning, Tyler woke early and tiptoed to his mother's bed. curling up beside her as he always did. She pulled him in close. My sweet boy, come here and play with Mama. They lay there in silence until Jennifer woke up and started to babble when the baby woke her. The day passed like any other. The detectives were able to ascertain that Cheryl had did a load of laundry. She had put it in the dryer. She vacuumed. She took the kids for a short walk to the park down the road, bundled in their jackets. Neighbors later said that they saw her leaving. She had Jennifer propped on her hip. Tyler was chasing leaves. Cheryl waved as she passed by several of the neighbors' houses. There was another call that was made to Cheryl on Saturday night. It was one of her teacher friends. They talked about classroom prep for the coming week. Nothing sounded off. She was tired but happy. She never mentioned John. Her teacher friend remembers her telling her that Tyler was asking for hot chocolate. So she was going to make him a cup and then she was going to go to bed. I would like to think that Cheryl rocked Jennifer to sleep that night, holding her close. And they probably all went to bed around 10:30 p.m. The answering machine blinked once. John had called her husband. He left a message. The message said, when the police played back the recording, "Hey Cheryl, just checking in with you, babe. Want to make sure everything's okay. See you soon. Love you." When the police went back and listened to the recording, John sounded perfectly normal, calm, measured, in control. Sunday slipped in without a sound. There were no known calls from Cheryl that day. She didn't reach out to friends, family. She always called her mom, always called her sister. That alone wasn't alarming so much. Sundays were always quiet in the Feeney home. Witnesses had accounted that it was just a day that John holed up in the basement playing his dark games, and Cheryl played with the kids. The first thing that was odd, Cheryl didn't go to church. She always took the kids to church. She wanted them to go to a church and make decisions on their own for what they believed in. And then in the afternoon, she would clean. She would let the kids watch cartoons. Maybe an early bedtime, nothing remarkable. Except on this Sunday, Cheryl did not show up at church. Tyler did not go to Sunday school. Jennifer was not in the nursery. Everybody says they never saw anyone on Sunday leave the Beanie home. Just silence. Her mom called and left another message. No response. John left a message. No response. On the second message that John Beanie left, it sounded distracted. Monday, February the 27th, 1995. Cheryl didn't show up for work. Her mother called the house again, wondering why Cheryl hadn't brought the grandkids over as she had promised. No answer. Called again. Still nothing. Something was wrong. Something felt off. Cheryl would miss work. Her job was important to her. Especially without a call. If one of the kids was sick, then Cheryl would have let someone know that. And she suddenly wouldn't leave her students waiting in the class. John's mother reached out to Cheryl. She couldn't get in touch with her either. Cheryl's mother made the decision to drive over to the house and see what was wrong. She picked up John's mother too. They were pretty close and they drove to Coachline Street. They pulled into the driveway. Everything seemed completely normal. Cheryl's car was there. Her mother thought to herself later, I thought maybe they were sick. Maybe they were all down with the flu. It was going around. The curtains were drawn. The front door was closed. Cheryl's mother went to knock on the door. No one came. Cheryl? Tyler? Honey, are you in there? She knocked. And then John's mother tried the doorknob. Turned. It opened. When they stepped inside, it was quiet, hushed. You could hear a pin drop on the floor. Something wasn't right. The air felt heavy It was very still, not peaceful though. Cheryl's mom said in an interview, it was wrong. Something was wrong. There were no sounds. Usually the TV was always on, cartoons for Tyler. No laughter, no crying, no movement at all. The house was silent, like a tomb. Cheryl wasn't responding to their calls. They were calling her name, Tyler's name. There wasn't a cough. There wasn't a sniffle. Cheryl? Honey? She wasn't prepared for what they found upstairs. They found a reason why it was so quiet. Chapter 4. What the house held. It was 9:12 a.m. The only way that John's mother remembers is because she looked on the bedside table at the alarm clock. She knows it was 9:12 a.m. All she remembered hearing was Cheryl's mother screaming, "Oh God! Oh my God!" John's mother walked in the room. That cry told her that something was not right. That the silence inside the home that they had felt for the time that they were in there was because it was finality. John's mother, Jan, was in shock at what she saw. The room was dim. For a moment, her breath, she couldn't catch it. Her brain refused to process what they were seeing. And then a heartbeat later, it took hold. Cheryl was lying on the opposite side of the bed, where John normally slept. She was slumped awkwardly to one side. Her face. Her mother turned away, screaming. John's mother said, I couldn't believe what I was seeing. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. She said she remembered she dropped to her knees and let out a sob. So raw, so shattered, that it echoed through the still house, every room. Cheryl had been struck with something heavy. Multiple times her face was bruised beyond recognition. Blood had pooled beneath her, dried into the carpet. Her nightgown was soaked. Unfortunately, whoever had did this hadn't stopped with Cheryl. There was a blanket beside her. John's mother stood up and she saw a little bit of blood on the blanket, on the edge. She pulled back the blanket. His little body was pulled up tight under the covers, as if he tried to hide from whoever was attacking his mom. He had been struck in the face and the head, just like his mom. There were no signs that he tried to run. He wouldn't have had time. His favorite stuffed dinosaur was beside him. He was gone. Cheryl was gone. They checked for pulses. They were both gone. Cheryl's mom, her hand flew to her mouth. Jennifer! Oh, Jennifer! She took off running out of the bedroom and ran to the nursery. At the end of the hall, the door was closed. She didn't want to see what was inside. She hesitated. Then she pushed it open. Jennifer was under a blanket. Her body had been posed. Her little legs tucked under her little behind up in the air, just like she always slept. Her hands were tucked up near her face. There was no blood, no bruising. Cheryl's mom said, at first I thought that she was just sleeping. But then I walked over to the crib. I saw the blind above her window was pulled out, letting sunlight in. The cord was tied tightly around her tiny neck. Her pacifier lay on the floor. She loved her Passy. She called it Passy in her year-old voice. Cheryl always kept a cassette tape of lullabies playing in the room. It was still playing. The soft blue of the nightlight glowed in the corner. Cheryl's mother couldn't breathe. Jan was sobbing, rocking tightly side to side, just crying, no, 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 no. Cheryl's mom still doesn't know how she managed to do it, but she went downstairs on shaky knees and called 911. When the recording was played back in court, she said, "They're gone, all of them. Oh my God, they're gone." Officers arrived within minutes. The house was sealed. Crime scene tape wrapped around the perimeter of the yard. First person, a neighbor. The police questioned me. Had I seen anything? Had I seen anyone at the house? Had I seen Cheryl and her precious babies on Sunday? No, I didn't. They asked me if I saw a strange car in the driveway. No, I didn't. We just all stood in clusters on the sidewalk and watched as these police cars, ambulances pulled up, sirens blazing. What had happened to that young mother? We didn't know what had happened yet, but I knew when I saw that crime scene tape, something was very, very wrong. Third person. Detectives from the Springfield Police Department began photographing the scene. They noted the following. There was no sign at all of forced entry. No broken windows, no open doors, no valuables missing. Nothing to indicate a burglary. Nothing that screamed rage, but there was something methodical about it. Someone had walked through that house in the dead of night and taken out a mother and her 2 young children, ages 4 and 1. First person, the detective assigned to the case. Her name will remain anonymous. We just don't have things that happen like this in Springfield. We just don't. When they told me what had been discovered in this house, I was shocked. We were able to find out from Cheryl's mother that John Feeney was away for the weekend at a teacher's conference. A deputy was sent to the conference to pick John up and bring him home. When they walked in and found him, Feeney was sipping coffee and preparing for the morning session when a Missouri State Highway Patrol officer approached him. They pulled him inside of a private room. They told him what had happened. He didn't cry. He didn't ask to call anyone. He sat still. He sat silent. When they asked him if he needed a moment, he said, "I'm okay." When they asked if he needed a moment, he said, "I'm okay again." And then he was escorted back to Springfield. Back at the house, we started collecting evidence, blood samples, photographs, fingerprints. There was no sign of a struggle, no bloody footprints, no hair, no fibers pointing to a stranger. There was nothing. We had no murder weapon. It was missing. We spoke to every neighbor on that street. No one had seen anything. No strange cars, no lights on at odd hours of the night, no sounds in the night, just silence. Like the entire house had been swallowed whole. That evening, we brought John Feeney into the police station. He wasn't under arrest, just for questioning. "Mr. Feeney, do you know why you're here?" "Yes." It unnerved me that this man was as calm as he was. I know that everybody grieves differently. Everybody mourns differently. But he seemed like he just didn't care. "Do you have any questions for us, Mr. Feeney?" "When will I be able to go in the house?" I just looked at it. We had just told him that his wife and his 2 kids were gone. And the only question he asked was, "When can I go back to the house?" He was calm. He was cooperative. He even offered theories on what could have happened. What I found so odd, he didn't want to see Cheryl. He didn't want to see Tyler. He didn't want to see baby Jennifer. He didn't request to go to the morgue. He just answered questions. He asked us one more time, "You'll let me know when I can go back to the house?" "Sure, Mr. Feeney, we'll let you know." First husband, a neighbor. I remember that I woke up to a small memorial on the lawn of the Feeney family. There were teddy bears of all sizes, candles, a framed copy of Goodnight Moon, It was Jennifer's favorite story. I walked across the street and I picked up a note that had been left with a dozen roses, pink. It said, "Sweet babies, you didn't deserve to go like this." And beneath it, scrawled in a child's handwriting, but I was able to decipher what it said. It said, "I will miss you, Tyler. You were my best friend." Chapter 5, The Husband Left Standing. First person, Cheryl's sister. I just couldn't believe how calm he was. My sister was dead. My niece and nephew were dead. John was just so calm. I remember Mama saying to me, "Don't judge it. Everybody grieves in their own way." Everybody seemed to think that of me. John had just lost his wife and his children, his entire family, murdered in their home while he was at a teacher's conference. Surely, Daddy said, shock was part of the reason that his voice was so flat. The lack of tears, the mechanical way that he answered police questions. Surely it was just shock that explained why he didn't collapse at the crime scene. If he loved my sister so much, why did he ask to see her? Why did he ask to see Tyler and Jennifer? Why didn't he take one of baby Jennifer's blankets and hold it to his face when he went into the house to pick up some things? He brought his golf clubs, some clothes. That was it. Surely shock was why he seemed so distant. But it didn't take long. Mom and Dad began to see it my way. The first thing that really bothered us was his voicemails. Just so calm, so detached. Charlotte told me one time in confidence that she felt like the new baby was going to repair some damage that had been done. The answer machine still had messages on there from John. 2 on Sunday, 1 on Monday morning. He had called the house, but not frantically, not with panic, not even with urgency. When they played that message on Monday morning in the court, said, "Hey Cheryl, it's me, just checking in. Hope you and the kids are okay. I'll try you later." That was it. First person, the detective assigned to the Beanie Bundy case. We listened to those messages over and over and over again. There was no tension, there was no confusion, there was no dread creeping in his voice. It just sounded routine. It sounded like a man calling someone he already knew wouldn't pick up. First person, Cheryl's mother. I remember when the detective came over to my house. She asked me if she could come in and talk with me. While combing through John's financial records, the investigators had discovered something that raised eyebrows and alarm alike. Cheryl's life insurance policy had been increased to $250,000. This increase happened just a week before she died. The paperwork had already been signed and submitted. John was the sole beneficiary. There was no record of Cheryl initiating it at all. No family members remember her mentioning it. She would have told me. She would have told her sister. It felt cold to me. It felt too perfectly timed. His behavior began to drift from strange to just downright suspicious. He didn't seem afraid. First person, Cheryl's sister. When I found out that John had increased Cheryl's life insurance to $250,000, I was at a loss for words. Most people, after a home invasion, murder, they change everything. New looks, new routines, therapy, panic attacks. I pulled up in the driveway and John was outside mowing the lawn. He seemed just as casual. He hadn't changed nothing. We had a vigil for Cheryl and the babies on a Saturday night. He didn't even show up for the vigil. He stayed in the house, curtains drawn, alone. I remember there was this reporter who asked him how it was going. He said, "I'm managing." Third person. John's world wasn't as quiet as it looked. Behind closed doors, rumors were spreading. Teachers from the conference said he never once mentioned his family all weekend. Not once. No pictures, no updates. He hadn't seemed distracted or anxious. He was social. He was laughing. He was staying up late playing board games and role-playing with other educators. Remember the game, Dungeons and Dragons? This was much more involved. People began to look back when Cheryl was alive and the things that she said or John said. I just remember he didn't like to be touched. He wasn't into public displays of affection. He kept things to himself. First person, Cheryl's sister. John, he just had this really dark sense of humor. None of that made him guilty. But it did make him interesting. First person, the detective assigned to the Feeney family's case. So, when we were looking into John Feeney, we talked a lot to his friends, his fellow teachers at Glendale High School. Everyone kept talking about Vampire, the Masquerade. It was a gothic horror role-playing game where players take on the roles of powerful, immortal beings living in secret societies, manipulating humans, hiding in the shadows. John ran campaigns for teens at Glendale High School. It was escapism, he said. We didn't like it. The press didn't like it. Cheryl's sisters certainly didn't like it. We searched his classroom, his desk. We found game books in his classroom, notes on character builds, outlines of story arcs, which that wasn't an issue. But there was one. It was a fictional ritual that was involving blood and sacrifice. It wasn't real. It didn't have to be. All the public needed was the image. The grieving husband, the dungeon master, the man who taught science by day and led fantasy vampire games by night. As the weeks continued passing, we investigated even deeper. A woman came forward. She said that there was no way that John did what he was being talked about doing because he was with her. We discovered that Mr. Feeney We had quite a few affairs in his past. There were definitely some skeletons in the closet. We began to reconstruct the timelines. So this was our thing. Could John have left the conference in the middle of the night, driven back to Springfield, murdered his family, cleaned up, and returned in time to maintain his alibi? It was tight, but it certainly wasn't impossible. One other detective of mine said it was possible that John signed in on Friday morning. He attended the day's sessions, then left early in the hours of Sunday. He would have had time, barely, but if everything went exactly right, he would have had time. But still, there was no physical evidence at all to support this. No witnesses saw him leave. There were no fingerprints. There was no DNA. There was no murder weapon. They searched that house top to bottom, and the only blood was on the victims. The house had been clean, almost too clean. No sign of a break-in, no forced entry, no signs of rage. Someone had walked through that house in the dark, killed a mother in her bed, then walked over to the other side and took Tyler's life. And then on top of that, wrapped a cord around that little baby Jennifer's throat. It takes a special kind of monster to do that. I told my partners, it just feels like someone who knew them, someone who belonged there, someone with a key. We had a friend of John's that asked if he could speak with us. He said one night he was at a party with John Feeney, and I just remember there was this woman that was sitting beside John, he said. And the woman asked John, do you think that you would be able to get away with murder? Someone laughed across the room and said, sure. The way you get away with murder, you just don't talk to the cops. You don't talk to anyone. You don't take a polygraph. You just don't do it. People get away with it all the time. Other friends said that when they would ask John how he was doing, he would say, I just want it to be over. Never, I want them back. Not, I can't live without my wife and my babies. Just over. And that's when the grand jury was summoned. Chapter 6, a child without tears. That was the hardest day of my life. I had been there when Cheryl walked down the aisle. I had been there for the births of my grandchildren. And now I was walking up the courthouse steps to see John held accountable. I remember it was raining, it was muddy, and I just told my husband, I don't know if I can do this. When we got to the court, we were sat across from the prosecutor. I brought Cheryl's wedding photo, and I had it in my lap and pictures of my grandkids. I leaned over to the prosecutor and I said in a whisper, please don't let them go. Please. I remember the prosecutor nodded his head. I'm going to do what I can. That was April 1996. It was 14 months after Cheryl, Tyler, and baby Jennifer were found murdered in their home. A grand jury handed down the indictment. John Feeney, my son-in-law, was charged with 3 counts of first-degree murder. The news sent a ripple through Springfield. Shock, satisfaction, for some, even relief. The man whose emotionless eyes had filled newspaper pages, the husband who never cried in public, the father who didn't beg for justice, was finally going to trial. But it wasn't going to be simple. Because the case, it had holes. First person, Cheryl's sister. There was no physical evidence, they said. No fingerprints, no footprints, no hair, no blood trail. The murder weapon had never been found. And there were no eyewitnesses, no cameras, no screams heard by neighbors. How could no one hear that? Nothing but silence and a sequence of voicemails that made the hairs on the back of your neck stand up. It was just a puzzle with too many missing pieces. So the state built what they could. They built motive. They said John wanted out. They brought up past affairs. They said that he was suffocating in the life that he helped to build, that he had a wife that he no longer loved, children who tethered him, debt piling up, pressure mounting. He wanted a new start. He wanted to be alone. The prosecution then pointed to the life insurance policy. $250,000 added to Cheryl's plan just weeks before her death. The perfect payout. They referenced rumors of the affair. They mentioned the games, Vampire, the Masquerade. They claimed John's interest in violent role-play and power-driven narratives hinted at darker thoughts that he had. And maybe he didn't just want to escape. Maybe he wanted release. They built opportunity. I mean, they definitely did. The prosecution claimed John signed in at the teachers' conference on Friday morning, made small talk, laughed with colleagues, went for a drive around town with his then secret girlfriend. And then disappeared on Saturday night. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, I believe that John Feeney quietly left the Lake of the Ozarks sometime after midnight. He drove 3 hours through the night. He arrived in Springfield, used his own key, murdered his family one by one, cleansed himself, changed clothes, drove back to the conference, and returned to the conference by breakfast. It was a full alibi. An actor playing the role of the grieving husband behind before the curtain ever rose. But the defense wasn't quiet, and that was the hardest thing to hear. John's attorneys painted a different picture. Ladies and gentlemen, now I know something tragic happened here. I know that. And just because Mr. Feeney didn't cry and sob when he heard about his wife and children being murdered, that doesn't mean that he did it. He's a quiet man. He always has been. He's a private man. He's not performative. Just because he's silent, does that make him a killer? This case that the prosecution is trying to bring up, it's theory and theatrics. And most importantly, this man, Mr. John Feeney, that you see sitting right there, handfuls of people saw him at the conference multiple times. I listened to his colleagues testify that he was present for the late night gaming sessions, the morning lectures, casual hallway encounters, not to mention the woman that he was seeing behind my sister's back. No one noticed it. No one noticed a gap long enough for a 6-hour round trip and triple homicide. You say he did it? Ladies and gentlemen, there were no toll records, no fuel receipts, no proof that he ever left the lodge. And the most damning thing for the state, there was no murder weapon. Then came the voicemails. Prosecutors played them in court. John's voice echoed across the room. Hey, Cheryl, it's me. Just checking in. Hope everything's okay. I'll try again in a bit. I saw some of the jurors lean forward. Others looked away. It wasn't the words. It was the way that he said them. Flat, careful, like he was leaving a message for someone he already knew wouldn't answer the phone. The prosecution said that it proved detachment. Ladies and gentlemen, just because he left a voicemail on the answering machine and it was flat, that proves nothing at all. And then I saw John when the messages were played. He wept. Not loudly, just tears. Quietly sliding down his face. The jury noticed. I noticed. The prosecution noticed. But they also noticed that it was the first time that John had cried. Friends, teachers, neighbors, some spoke gently of John, intelligent, strange, but not violent. Others said that my sister had been sad lately, overwhelmed, quiet in ways that she hadn't been before. I know they were having money troubles. I know that. But her voice in that courtroom was absent. No recordings, no journal entries. Only memories relayed by those left behind, and sometimes memories lie. I remember when we were younger, I asked Cheryl if she kept a journal. She said, heck no. Do you know how many marriages have been ruined because of hidden diaries that the spouse finds? No, thank you. I'll keep it all up here. The trial lasted for 2 weeks. By the end of it, the town was split. Some saw a cold-hearted killer hiding in plain sight. And then others saw a wrongly accused man grieving the only way he knew how. But everyone agreed on one thing. Something wasn't right. And when the jury was sent to deliberate, the air outside the courthouse, it changed the second that they read off that piece of paper. The winter had come early to bear witness. Chapter 7. The courtroom was packed. October the 5th, 1996. First person, Cheryl's sister. The jury had been out less than 2 days. 12 men and women who had spent 2 weeks staring into the eyes of a man accused of killing my sister and his children, now filed into the room with heads low and I just remember their expressions being unreadable. Mama was there. She clutched her rosary with both hands, lips moving silently. The courtroom deputy called for order as the judge entered. Reporters held pens midair. Friends of my sister sat in the back row, eyes brimming. A few more pens with Tyler and Jennifer pinned to the lapels of their coats. Names that hadn't been spoken enough during the proceedings. I looked at my brother-in-law. He sat still, his fingers interlaced. His suit jacket hung too loose. He lost weight, but his face was the same, unreadable, pale, like a man watching rainfall on a funeral that he forgot to attend. The foreman stood, 3 sheets of paper in hand. 3 charges, 3 lives, 3 answers. The judge looked at the papers. On the charge of first-degree murder in the death of Cheryl Feeney. What is your verdict? There was a pause that stretched like a razor's edge. A woman spoke up. We find the defendant, John Feeney, not guilty. There was a gasp around the courtroom. Dread settled into the pit of my stomach. On the charge of first-degree murder in the death of Tyler Feeney, not guilty. And finally, on the charge of first-degree murder in the death of Jennifer Feeney, not guilty. Silence. Not relief, not triumph. Just the weight of 3 tiny coffins that no verdict could ever lift. Mama didn't scream. She didn't collapse. She just sat there, rosary still in hand, and whispered, God forgive him. John didn't flinch. No visible reaction, no tears, no sign of relief. He was free. He could walk out of that courtroom free, but he was never going to be vindicated. Not in the eyes of Springfield, not in the eyes of Cheryl's friends and family, not in the eyes who saw more in his silence than they ever found in the evidence. Outside the courthouse, reporters swarmed like flies to a wound. Microphones, cameras, live feeds. John didn't speak. He was escorted out a side entrance. He never gave an interview, never issued a statement, never once said Cheryl's name publicly again. He walked away from the courthouse a free man and into a life that no one really saw yet. The prosecution was silent afterward. I remember the prosecutor patted my mom on the shoulder and said, "I'm so sorry." They didn't hold a press conference. They'd lost. They'd gambled on a circumstantial case and lost. Probably some whispered that the jury got it right. Technically, that the evidence just wasn't strong enough. That justice was a feeling you could taste but not prove. Others said it was a failure. That a man with motive, opportunity, and the quietest demeanor imaginable had slipped through a crack in the system. A crack shaped exactly like a science teacher from Springfield. But the worst part, my sister's name faded first. Tyler's drawings were packed away. Jennifer's crib was dismantled and sold in a yard sale by a property manager a year later. The child had become about John, and John had become a shadow. Springfield tried to move on. Tried to forget the headlines, the news specials, the shame. But they couldn't. Because sometimes at night, people still whispered about the Feeney house. The way the street fell quiet for months after the murders. No one wanted to live there. The way you could walk past it and feel a chill in your chest. Like grief had soaked into the walls and refused to leave. And the way Cheryl's voice, once so bright and full of laughter, was now only heard in memories and videos. Chapter 8, The Cold That Never Left. The house at 1906 West Coachlight Court stood empty for months. Neighbors crossed the street to avoid it. Kids stopped riding bikes past it. And every time the wind caught the gutter just right, it made a hollow clatter that sounded like something trying to escape. Eventually, the property was sold. Not for much. After the verdict, Cheryl's parents filed a wrongful death suit against John. They didn't want money. They wanted something that said, "We still believe that you did this." They wanted to prevent him from collecting the $500,000 in life insurance, policies that had once been intended to protect his family in the unthinkable event of their passing. Not to reward him for surviving them. The civil case moved quietly, without media, without cameras. No one reported much. And what little information made it into the papers was buried deep under community events and school board meetings. Because people were tired, and tired people stopped looking for justice. John Feeney didn't stay in Missouri. After the lawsuit, after the eyes on him dimmed, he left quietly. No big move, no announcement, just a blank forwarding address. He relocated to Ecuador, of all places, started over, started again, married, had more children. There he blended in, just another American expatriate in a country that didn't ask him questions. He taught, he remarried, he kept living. And not once did he speak publicly about Cheryl or Tyler or Jennifer again. The case remains officially unsolved. Still open, still cold. No other suspects were ever arrested. No DNA evidence ever surfaced. The murder weapon has never been found. No confession has come. No neighbor recalled anything odd. Until a few years ago, a man called the police station said that his daughter had a story that she needed to share. The girl's name shall remain anonymous. She told her father that she had seen something the night that the Beanie family was murdered. She said she had a bad cold. She went to the bedroom where her parents slept and asked them if they had any cough medicine. Her mom told her to go downstairs and take Robitussin. The little girl walked in the kitchen. The Eden kitchen faced the Beanie home. She said she saw John Beanie get in his car, crank it, then went back in the house. He came out, was carrying a bag, opened the trunk, threw whatever it was inside the trunk and shut it. He got in his car and left. The girl said that she was scared at the time, and she didn't tell her parents for years. Did she see John Beanie the night of the murders? From that point forward, it has just been silence. Thick and unmoving, like concrete poured over memory. And yet, the question remains, who could walk into a house with 2 sleeping children, murder a woman in her bed, and then her son lying next to her, and strangle a baby with surgical quiet? Who could do it with such care that they left no trail? No fingerprints, no bloodstains, no hair, not even a shoe print on tile. Who would know to strike the face and the neck, the places that muffle sound? Who would know the layout of the house? would know that the dog was gone for the weekend? Who would know the door was rarely locked when John wasn't home? Who would leave without panic? Who would return to a conference and eat eggs and toast in a large cafeteria like nothing happened? You can feel it, can't you, night dwellers? The shape of what isn't said, the outline of something that has always been there, waiting, watching, breathing in the spaces between the headlines. To this day, no one has been convicted of the Feeney family murders, and maybe no one ever will be. But Cheryl's voice still echoes in the classrooms where she once sang. Tyler's laughter still lingers on the playground, and Jennifer's nursery. It never felt quite right again. Some say it's not just what happens that haunts them, it's that no one paid for it. 3 lives lost, no justice found, and nearly 30 years later, the silence remains. What do you believe, night dwellers? Did the justice system fail Cheryl and her children? Or did the killer slip through without ever being seen? I told you that was a tough one. That will be the only story for tonight. I felt like it was a fitting true crime case to tell tonight. Tomorrow night, Wednesday night, is paranormal night. Time to step up and share your paranormal stories with us. I'll go to the comments now. Had anyone ever heard of this case? Let me know in the comments. $300K, wonderful. Glad you enjoyed it. All you could see was the top of my crown? Really? Huh. I'm not sure why. I mean, I could see it the whole time. I don't know. I have no idea. Hiding behind the comments. No. Uh-uh. The comments are over here. I'm right here. I see it. Had to have been a glitch again, y'all. I don't know what to tell you. Yeah, I don't know. Not sure. Because it looks perfect on mine. I know it. Can you believe that? He actually got away with it. I don't know. It had to have been a glitch. Because I'm sitting right here and I can see everything. I mean, everything. So, I don't know. Yes, it will be. Yes. Hello, Dark Royalty. I don't know. I am not exactly sure. No, it's right where it was supposed to be. Thank you, Tara. Hey, sweet thing. How are you? Yes, it will be on YouTube tomorrow. They all post. Very perplexed by that. I don't understand why. I'm glad you enjoyed it, Melinda. Oh, good. Could y'all see me in YouTube? All right, y'all. Well, it has been a interesting day, and for those of you who enjoyed the story, I hope you did. For those of you who didn't, I'm so sorry about that. Um, it's been a day, and I am just going to go ahead and call it a night. And everyone have a good night.